why two people can start from the same place, work the same hours, and live in the same city. Yet one of them eventually reaches a point where money works for them, while the other keeps working for money forever? It's not just luck, and it's not always about intelligence either. There's an invisible line, a hidden threshold of net worth, that silently divides the rich from everyone else. And once a person crosses it, their relationship with money, risk, and even time itself completely transforms. You see, most people spend their entire lives trapped inside the first zone, the survival zone, where their income exists only to cover expenses. And no matter how much they earn, the equation always resets every month. They're constantly balancing bills, chasing promotions, and fighting against debt. But the rich? They operate in an entirely different dimension, one that most people never get to see up close. The key difference lies not just in how much they earn, but in how they structure their wealth to grow on its own. There's a secret number, a certain level of net worth, where passive income begins to replace active labor. It's not about the millions you imagine billionaires have. It's about the point where your assets generate more than your lifestyle costs. That's the threshold that separates the rich from the rest. When the average person saves a little money, they store it like a squirrel with acorns, hoping it'll last through the winter. But the rich treat money like a worker that never sleeps, a loyal employee sent out into the world to bring back more money. They understand that wealth compounds only when it's moving, not when it's hiding. Think of it like gravity. Below a certain mass, you're floating aimlessly at the mercy of every financial wind. But once your net worth hits a critical mass, it starts to pull opportunities toward you. Deals find you. People want to partner with you. Your time becomes negotiable. You stop selling your hours and start buying other people's hours instead. That's the real shift. The moment your wealth creates leverage. And leverage, not labor, is what builds lasting freedom. Most people misunderstand net worth. They think it's a static number, a trophy on paper. But for the wealthy, it's a dynamic engine that grows with or without them. They reach a level where their assets generate enough to cover not only their expenses, but also their reinvestments. That's when they cross the line, when money stops being the goal and becomes the tool. And what's fascinating is that this threshold isn't fixed. It changes depending on your lifestyle, your goals, and how intelligently your money works for you. For some, it might be $500,000 invested in productive assets. For others, it's $5 million spread across multiple income streams. But the psychological change happens much earlier than the financial one. The truly rich start thinking like investors long before their bank balance reflects it. They calculate value, not price. They see time as the ultimate currency. They avoid liabilities disguised as luxuries, and they delay gratification not out of discipline, but out of design. Because they know every dollar they deploy today can multiply silently tomorrow. Meanwhile, the rest remain focused on income instead of ownership. They chase higher salaries, not higher equity. They spend their raises before they even arrive. They build lifestyles that inflate faster than their assets. The result? Their net worth barely grows, even as their effort increases. That's why two people with the same income can live entirely different financial realities. One exhausted and anxious, the other calm and free. The difference lies in how they use the surplus. The rich convert their surplus into systems. They buy cash flow, not status. They accumulate productive assets, businesses, properties, intellectual property, or investments that continue paying them whether they're awake or asleep. And here's the hidden truth. Once your assets generate consistent returns that exceed your basic cost of living, you've crossed the invisible line. That's the moment when you no longer need to trade your time for security. From that point onward, every decision you make about money becomes a choice, not a necessity. And that's exactly what the rest of the world calls freedom. But here's what makes this level so hard to reach. Most people are mentally programmed to operate within limitation. They've been taught to think of wealth as something far away, something meant for those kinds of people. They see it as a mountain instead of a staircase. The rich, however, climb that staircase one disciplined step at a time, reinvesting early wins, staying patient through slow growth, and protecting their downside with knowledge instead of fear. They don't gamble, they position. They don't time the market, they study the market. And when opportunities appear, they move fast because they already prepared long before the chance arrived. The poor and middle class often try to get rich through sudden moves, lotteries, crypto spikes, viral success, but the wealthy focus on compounding, the slowest yet most certain path. They know that money compounds only when it's protected, reinvested, and managed with patience. Every rich person you've ever heard of, from self-made millionaires to quiet investors living in your city, has hit that point where their assets produce more than their expenses. It's not about flash or fame. It's about mathematical independence, and once that level is reached, everything changes internally. Fear fades. Urgency disappears. Decision-making becomes clearer because choices are made from abundance, not survival. It's the psychological freedom that truly separates the rich from everyone else. Because wealth isn't just financial, it's emotional stability, control over your time, and the ability to live life on your own terms. When your net worth starts producing its own income, your perspective shifts from "how do I earn more?" to "how can I grow smarter?" And that's where exponential growth begins. The average person never gets to this point because they never define what their threshold actually is. They chase random numbers like $1 million without understanding what that means for their lifestyle or passive income. But if you can calculate your personal freedom number, the exact amount of invested assets required to sustain your desired lifestyle, you can target it with precision. That's your invisible border. For some, it's small and achievable within a few years. For others, it's a decade-long mission. But either way, once you cross it, life never feels the same. The air is lighter. Time slows down. Every morning feels different when you know your bills are paid before you even wake up. That's the moment you step out of survival mode and into creation mode. You start building not for money, but for meaning. The irony? At that stage, the rich often work harder, but differently. Their effort fuels impact, not income. They build companies that outlive them, share knowledge that multiplies, and invest in systems that serve generations. The rest keep hustling just to keep up, trapped in the illusion of progress. But the truth is, wealth was never about chasing. It was always about building momentum. If you can create assets that move while you rest, you're already halfway there. That's the real secret of the net worth level that separates the rich from the rest. It's not a number in your bank. It's a mindset in your behavior. It's the discipline to keep money moving in the right direction and the courage to delay comfort until your foundation is unshakable. So, the next time you think about wealth, don't ask, "How much do I need?" Ask, "How much do I need working for me?" Because the day your money starts working harder than you do, that's the day you've crossed over to the other side. And when that happens, you'll realize the truth no one told you. The rich aren't just rich because of what they have. They're rich because of what they no longer have to fear. And that, more than any number, is the real separation line.